What phone call made your blood run cold? I was in the middle of finishing up homeless shelter forms when my coworker Megan called me and said, Bill just froze to death because I couldn't house him in time. When I got to Oak Street, I found her fighting with the paramedics, begging them to let her have a few more minutes to say goodbye. At first, I thought she was just going through the 5 stages of grief, but I never noticed when she started buying extra sleeping bags and keeping them in her car, just in case I see someone who needs one, Megan explained when I helped her load them one morning. And when Megan told me she'd invited 3 homeless people to stay in her house during the next storm, I even felt proud of her. Just for a few nights, she said, her eyes bright with purpose. I have the space. Something in her voice made me uneasy, but I pushed it down. She was doing something good. The first real warning sign came 3 weeks later. Megan had been missing work to care for her sick guests. When I brought over soup, the house felt wrong. The curtains were all drawn and it smelled like eucalyptus, and something else I couldn't make out. Come meet everyone, Megan said excitedly, leading me to the living room where 3 people were sleeping on her furniture. She knelt beside a young man in an army jacket and stroked his hair. Bill's been sleeping so well since he came home. My blood went cold. Megan, what the F did you just say? I know, she beamed at me. I couldn't believe it either. I was at the park last Tuesday and he recognized me right away. Megan, Bill is dead. We saw his body. We went to his memorial. She shook her head, still smiling. That's what I thought too. But look, she lifted the man's limp hand. Same scar on his thumb from when he told us about cutting it on a can. The angels brought him back to me so I could save him this time. The man's breathing was shallow. His skin had a grayish tint. Behind her, I could hear her talking to someone, but no one responded. She looked exhausted, but there was this manic gleam in her eyes that scared me. I tried to tell my boss about it, hoping she'd help to discourage Megan, but instead, she just responded saying, is she breaking any laws? Exactly. Just leave it alone. We can't punish someone for housing the homeless. I stared at that text for an hour, trying to convince myself everything was okay. After that, I never saw Megan again, until a week later, that is, because that's when she called me at 2 a.m. And before I could say anything, she blurted, I need your advice. Her voice was strangely calm. I had to sew Bill's mouth shut. She was chewing too loudly and disturbing the others. My whole body went cold. Megan, what did you just say? She sighed like I was being difficult. I know it sounds extreme, but he wouldn't stop making those wet sounds when I fed him. Now everyone can rest properly. Megan, where is Bill right now? There was a pause. In his chair, of course. He's been there all week. Such a good patient now. I told her I'd be right over, then immediately called 911. The officer who called me back sounded shaken. You're her emergency contact. We need you here. My legs felt like water as I got out of my car. When I arrived, I found Megan in the kitchen humming while she made tea. Through the doorway, I could see someone sitting very still on the couch. Too still. My blood turned to ice. Megan, love, what's happening here? I asked, voice shaking. You remember Bill? She said, gesturing to an elderly man propped up with pillows. He looked like he'd been dead for days. The room spun. This couldn't be real. I stumbled backward, but Megan kept talking in this dreamy voice. And Janet is doing so well with his meals now. In the kitchen, a young woman in the army jacket was seated at the table, a bowl of soup in front of him. Her head was tilted forward like she'd fallen asleep eating, but the smell told me she'd been gone at least as long as Bill. Megan reached over and wiped her chin with a napkin. He's finally keeping food down. The house was a nightmare. 2 more bodies were arranged in the spare bedroom, tucked into bed like children. Another man sat in a recliner with a book propped in his lap. 5 corpses total, all positioned like they were just resting. How had I let it get this far? When I ran outside to vomit, Megan followed me looking concerned. Are you not feeling well? I have some chamomile tea that might help. Even then, even in that moment of horror, she was trying to take care of me. When the police started removing bodies, Megan completely lost it. She threw herself over fake Bill, screaming, no, 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 you're waking them. They need their rest. They need to heal. When they continued, she turned on me with pure rage. You did this. You brought them here. They were finally safe, finally loved, finally home. Full story on channel, link below.